June is almost gone, and I thought about why not talk about the books that I read in the last 6 months. So here I am talking about the books that I read in these last 6 months. Starting with Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. This is written by Gail Honeyman, and I think this is her first novel, for which she uh, got award, some kind of award. Costa Book Awards winner 2017. But yeah, this is something around 380 pages, and I was skeptical of reading this book because I am comfortable with anything around 250 pages. Anything over that, I have to push myself a lot to read that book, and that happened with this one also. This was lying on my shelf for over months, but then I decided to pick it up in January and read it, and I was not disappointed because this is such a good book. The writing is really good here. The book is about this woman who is in her late 20s, and she's working in this office, the same office, for last 8 or 9 years, and she does not have any friends. She does not get involved in any kind of gossip. She uses proper English. She dresses up properly, and her hair is very proper, so everything is proper about her, not in a fashionable way, in a way that is appropriate according to that place. So she's that kind of person, and she has childhood trauma that is unaddressed. She has changed houses when she was child. She has grown up basically in foster houses, so she does not know the meaning of being cared for. She does not know the meaning of asking for help. She does not know how to do that, and that has become a part of her personality because she does not really have any friend. And then all of that changes when she met this guy, her colleague in the office, and then they kind of became friends. He started, not like in a clingy way, he started caring for her, which she found very amusing because he never really asked anything in return from her when he was actually taking care of her in some ways. She met his family, his mother, and I think his brother also. I'm not sure, I'm forgetting it, but yeah, she met him, and then she also met this guy whom they kind of saved together, and the guy's family, and she came across a different world where people actually care for each other. And this was the first time she was experiencing it, and this has been written in a very subtle way. It's not in your face that she never really knew what caring is like. It's a very subtle way of writing that tells you that she actually didn't know what it was like, and she didn't know how to ask for help. And then she went into a situation where she really needed help, and this colleague of her, this friend of her, came to rescue her. He cared for her day and night, and then he convinced her to go for therapy because he sensed that there is something wrong. Something happened to her that she's not coming to terms with, and she's also not ready to address it. So he convinced her to go for therapy, and that's what the whole story is about. But the writing is so good that it will keep you engrossed throughout the story, and you will know so much about this girl that you will feel so sad for her, that this girl didn't know what it is like to be loved. So yeah, that is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, and I highly recommend reading this one. Let's move on to the next one, which is The Stationery Shop of Tehran. This is a love story between two young people, Roya and Bahman. They met in the bookshop, and from there their love bloomed. But this is set in a time in Tehran where there is political unrest between the government and Shah. The supporters of these two, there are clashes between these two groups, and there is like both the families of the girl and the boy, they were ready for these two to get married, except Bahman's mother. She was not happy with it. She wanted Bahman to get married in an influential family that is shares the same class as theirs, but he was against it. He was really in love with Roya, so they eventually decided to meet at this place and get married without telling anyone else. Roya went there, she could not find Bahman, and a lot of things happened that day that changed Roya's life completely. She felt heartbroken and betrayed, and then she decided to go to US for higher studies, and then she gets married there, she has children, but a lot of trauma happened there also with her. And now that she is in her 80s, she gets a call that there is this guy in old age home that wants to meet her. I mean, I can't remember how she got to know about him, but yeah, she went there to meet him, and that guy is no one else but Paman. And she goes there and she asks him, why did you not come that day to meet me? And then the whole story unravels that what exactly happened, why did he not come that day, and all of those things. There are other characters in the story that have a background, like their story is also important to Roya and Bhaman's story, and that connection is made very well in this book. So I enjoyed reading this one too. This is The Stationery Shop of Behran. Let's move on to the next one, which is Heaven by Miyako Kawakami. That one I read on Audible app, and I will say that I liked the novel, but not in the way I wanted to. So I will say I will not recommend that novel to anyone, because it is a very heavy novel. It made me feel hopeless and helpless in so many ways that I did not want anyone to go through that while reading it. That book is basically on bullying. There are two students in the class that are being bullied by a group of people, and the level of bullying is very bad that you cannot just, I mean, the initial 10 to 20 pages I was in, like, it was so bad. I felt so bad for these two people, for these two students. The main character here is this boy who has lazy eye condition, and in the book throughout he has been called as I because of this condition, and he thinks that it is his lazy eye condition because of which he is being bullied and he is not able to do anything about it. Then there is this girl who is also being bullied, and whose her name is Kojima, and they become friends because of this unusual connection, because of this situation that they are in. And then the whole story happens from there, and as I said, I will not recommend it because the bullying never stops in the book, and it keeps going on to next level, which was very unbearable. It was very painful to read what was happening to these two students. One thing that I don't know why they did not tell their parents what's been happening to them, and how their parents could not notice, because there were actual bruises on the boy's face and body, for which he had to go to the hospital. So I think there was one more message, that the parents were so busy with their life. I mean, they had a lot going on in their own life that they could not notice what was their children going through. But the boy was pushed to such a limit that he started contemplating suicide. So it was that bad, and I don't want anyone to go through that, to read that kind of thing. So I will not recommend it. Having said that, I really liked the novel because of the writing, because it actually made me feel that pain. But I have read Breast and Egg by Miyako Kawakami, and I became a fan of her writing from there on. And I highly recommend reading that one. Breast and Egg was the first novel that I read by her, which was by her. So I highly recommend reading that one, but you can skip this one because this novel is very triggering. And yeah, that's Heaven by Miyako Kawakami. Let's move on to the next one, which is Identity by Milan Kundera, and that one also I read on Kindle app, and I really enjoyed reading that one. It was never a linear reading for me because I kept feeling like this throughout the whole story, because it's written that way and it's such a brilliant writing, and you will feel that kind of rush when you are reading it, because you want to speak on behalf of the characters, because you know what the situation that they are in, and you also get to know that how complicated we as humans are, how complicated we make things, because there are things that can be corrected. You just have to communicate, but we don't do that because we have this habit of complicating everything. So that's what this whole novel is about. There is this woman who is in her 30s, and she's dating this guy who is 4 years younger than her, and she just one day says this thing to him, in a conversation that men don't look at her anymore, and she said that because she wanted to avoid another conversation with him. And that kind of he found it very weird that how could she say such a thing, and he started thinking about it, and then he took it in another way. And then after a few days she started receiving this anonymous letter where the one who wrote the letter was praising her beauty, like how he finds her so attractive and all of that. And she hid those letters from the guy. The guy's name is Jean Marc, and he found out about those letters. She found out that he found out about those letters, and now they both did not say anything to each other that they know. And that's how the confusion started. And last few chapters were like roller coaster ride, because it was like you want to know what's going to happen next, but you also have this fear that something wrong is going to happen and you want to stop it. And that was really I really liked this novel. I really liked the experience of reading this novel, so I highly recommend it. But there is one thing that I will say, that the character of the woman that has been written in this novel, I do not remember anything about that character, because I think it's been written in a way that was not relatable. And I found the similar thing happening in Murakami's novel. I have read Sputnik Sweetheart, I have read Norwegian Wood, and by Milan Kundera, this is the only novel that I've read. And in all these three novels, I felt the same thing, because in Sputnik Sweetheart there was Sumer, and the way she was written in a certain part, I was not able to relate with that. I was like, what's happening here? I just did not understand. But I think that was the first novel that I was reading by Murakami, so I just let it go. I let myself read the novel completely. Then in the second novel, Norwegian Wood, something similar happened with the character. I do not remember the name, the one who had mental issues. Similar thing was written about her. And then here in this novel, a similar kind of thing I noticed about the female character, and I was not able to relate all these three characters in that one part. The story, all three stories are amazing, the writing is amazing, it's brilliant, but as I said, I was not able to understand the female character that way, and I do not remember anything about the female character here in Identity. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. But yeah, apart from that, the whole story is really good. So I highly recommend reading that one. Let's move on to the next one, which is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. And this is a novel that is written by a therapist. So this accounts for the conversation that happened between her and her patients. Obviously, she has changed the names, and some of the conversations that happened between her and the patients are also kind of fiction. How much of it is fiction, we don't know, but I really enjoyed reading this one too, because it felt like that. I can say in these 400 pages, also very thick. These 400 pages, I related to a lot of things, because I might have gone through it, or might be going through it, or might have experienced in similar things in my, few of my friends might have gone through that. So a lot of relatable stuff is there in this book. And also she has talked about young people, older people, women, men, what they go through. All those problems have been discussed, and also why therapy is important, the stigma around therapy, why people should be encouraged for therapy, not just one section of the people, but everyone. Like she talks about that you see very few older people going to therapy when they think that it's the age factor. What they are feeling is because of the age, and everyone in that age group feels that way, but that's not the case. Maybe therapy can help them. And similar ways, she has talked about a lot of other things. But the other thing that I want to point out is that she has also talked about going to therapy. So she herself goes to her therapist as a patient. So this book is not only about a therapist talking about her patient's problems. She is also talking from the point of view of a patient, as she's also going to therapy. So yeah, I liked reading it, and I recommend reading this one too. Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. Let's move on to the next one, which is Don't Believe Everything You Think, which is a self-help book, and this is the last self-help book that I have read this year. And I think the last book that I've read this year, but I did not like it at all because it felt like the writer was trying to impose some ideas on me, which I did not agree to. A lot of things. I mean, I read only 30 or 40 pages, and I could not go beyond that because it was just not. I was not able to agree to a lot of things that has been said in this book, and I'm not sure about other people who have read it whether they liked it or not. But yeah, something written about that, it's not, it's internal thing that you are not happy with your job, and nothing external is here, and when you are bringing your work to your house, you're not doing the right thing and how you should be managing it, which I'm not sure if that's exactly what was said in here, but what I felt that way is that if you're not happy with your job, then there are very much other factors involved there. Maybe your boss is not good, maybe your colleagues are not good, maybe you are trying you are giving your best in your job, but you are not appreciated the way you should be. Maybe things are not right in your workplace, and you just cannot, maybe once or twice you can ignore that, you might not bring that home, but if that's happening to you more than often, then how can you ignore it? That's not something just internal, that's external also, because the external factors are not allowing you to be that way, to be content with your job, to be happy, to leave the stress at workplace and go back home happy. So that's what I was not able to agree with. I'm not sure if that's what the message was along the line, but I think something like that was said in this book, which I was not able to agree to, because I have been in that kind of situation, so I was not able to say that what has been written is the right thing. So I did not read it completely. I gave up after 40 pages, and I don't think this book deserves my time, so I will not recommend it. Let's move on to the next one, which is Days at Morisaki Bookshop, and this book is about this girl. She was in a relationship with a guy, and they used to work at the same place, and then one day he tells her that I am getting married, and he did not give any explanation. So she started thinking that, was it in her mind that they were in relationships? She started questioning a lot of things, and she went, like, she had to go to office every day and face this guy and pretend like nothing has happened, and one day she eventually quit. She stopped going out anywhere, she stopped talking to anyone, and then she got a call from her uncle, who has a bookshop in Morisaki, which is I think the book name is only Morisaki, I do not remember the place name, but yeah, they were both living in Tokyo. So he asked her to come and help him manage the bookshop. She reluctantly went there because she was using her all savings, so she thought that she might not she might be able to save something from her earnings. She goes there to help his uncle, and then she finds this whole world of books there. This is the second-hand bookshop that sells second-hand books. This is a bookshop that sells second-hand books, and there are so many more books there. There is coffee house, and she starts liking that place. She starts changing, and she sees a different side of her uncle, which she was not aware of. She always thought that he's very weird and he's not. She didn't like him. Actually, and when she started living with him, she saw him in a very different way, and she started liking him. The story is really good. It's really, I mean, I really liked reading it. The whole experience of reading it was very good. It's written in a very simple English, very easy English. And the thing about the uncle, his wife, he was married, but his wife left him, and then she came back after 5 years, and she has not given any reason why she left, why she is back. And there is a story there also, and what's the role of the girl in that story. So it's really good. It's something that I highly recommend reading. So this is Days at Morizaki Bookshop. Let's talk about the next book, which is The Prisoners of Geography, and this is mostly about the role of geography in politics. And there are different chapters that are covered that talk about different continents, countries, and regions, and their relationship with each other, political relationship in terms of geography. It talks about Russia and how cold it is and how it is not in its favor. It talks about China, that why is it so aggressive in its approach to other countries and regions, and why is it so in terms of geography, its relationship with Tibet, its relationship with India-Pakistan relationship, and how Himalayan ranges are keeping away the China and India conflicts for now. It also talks about US and how it became superpower and what was in its favor in terms of geography. It talks about Africa, that how big it is. It is 5 times Greenland, and nobody really knows that. And the internal conflicts that are there in Africa is because of the division of the regions within Africa. There are so many water bodies, and so many water bodies, so many minerals are there, but because of these conflicts, they are not the power they could have been. They are not the country that they could have been. Their water bodies are polluted with diseases, and it's the mismanagement that happened there while dividing these areas is what is the sole reason of not sole, the core reason of the conflicts within Africa. Is Turkey a Gulf country? Is it a European country? What are the problems in Europe in terms of the geography? All these things are given in detail in these chapters. I also got to know about so many things that I did not know. I got to know about so many terms, about Navy, Army, about NATO. Sure, there are things that you can learn online about NATO, but the things that are written in this book, I did not know that. And also they have talked about why the conflicts between these countries, like the conflicts between Russia and Ukraine is there. What other conflicts could be there in the future? What can be avoided? Talks about Antarctica and Arctic regions in detail. So anyone who is interested in geopolitics, they can read this book, and I really liked reading it because I did not have any idea about geopolitics, and I got some idea from this book, so I highly recommend reading it. Let's move on to the next one, which is She and Her Cat, and this one I listened on Audible app. For anyone who does not have any pet in their home, this might be an absurd idea. That this book is from the point of view of cats and different animals in the book, and also from the point of view of their owners. So the animals are also speaking their mind, that what they are thinking about their owner, what they are thinking about other cats and other animals. And those who have pets, they might like it. For me, this book was not bad, not good. It was an okay book. I think if I would have read this book, it is actually manga, but if I would have read this book, I would not have liked it. Because I listened it on Audible app. It was very calmly narrated. The whole narration was very beautiful when the cats are speaking, when the owners are speaking, and the slowness that is required when they are, they are not happy about something, or when they are depressed, when they are sleepy, when they are not energetic, when they are energetic. Those kind of modulation were there in the narration, and I really liked it. So for that reason, I think I liked the book. But again, it's not something that I will recommend to anyone, or it's not a book that I will remember maybe 2-3 months. After 2-3 months I've read it. So yeah, that was She and Her Cat. And let's move on to the next one, which is The Convenience Store Woman. And this is a story about a woman who is on the spectrum, and she has been working in this convenience store from a very long time. She is in her late 30s. She's not married, she's single. She does not really have any friends. What she does is, whenever she's surrounded by certain people, like colleague or her manager in the convenience store, she tries to imitate them, the way they talk, the way they dress up, she tries to imitate them, and this is her idea of blending in with these people, with the normal people, because she does not want them to find out that she is weird, because she has been told since her childhood that she is not a normal child, and this is her way of blending in. But as we read story, the whole book, we get to know that these people actually notice that she is weird, and they make fun of her very subtly, but they do make fun of her. And they also talk behind her back that she's not married, is she going to work throughout her life in this convenience store, she should settle down, who's going to take care of her when she's old, and all of that. And that is what she's expected to do from the society. And she learns that yes, this is what she is expected to do, so she tries to understand how she can fulfill this thing to stay in the society, so that she's not outcasted. So she finds this guy who was also working in the convenience store. He was a very bad guy. He also has some kind of problem, so she told him that, you know, we can get married, and this will be a marriage of convenience, because outside our house in the society we will be a married, no one is going to question us why you are not married or why you are single and all of that. But inside the house, inside the house, you can stay there, you will not have to pay the rent, I will cook, and we can live like normal people, we do not have to do anything with each other. Does that happen, does that not happen, why, if she changed her mind, why she changed her mind, and all of those things you will read, and you will realize that it's such a sad society that does not allow these people to live peacefully. Also, there was one thing that's written in the novel, is that these jobs, the convenience store jobs and similar jobs, are looked down upon. These people who are working in these stores, they are looked down upon. That is not, this job is not considered as a job that should be given respect. But I think, yeah, I think it's a very sad state of society, and anyone, regardless of their job or regardless of anything, they should be treated with the kindness. Nobody should be treated in a disrespectful manner. But reading this novel, it made me sad how she tried to blend in, because she thinks that she is not normal like other people. And that's what convenience store woman is, and it's such a beautiful writing, it's such a beautiful story, it's written in a very nice way that it will hit you in the right spot. So yeah, that is convenience store woman. And then let's move on to the next one, which is, I think, the last one that I read this in the last 6 months, is the Independence by Chitra Banerjee, and I have made a detailed review of this book. The latest video on my channel is on this book, and this book is about the three daughters. And this book, the story is set in pre-independence era, and after India got the independence, the struggle of people during that time from both the communities, Muslims and Hindus, the riots that happened at that time, the clashes and everything, the lives lost, and the story of these three daughters. There is Deepa, who's the eldest daughter, who fell in love with this Muslim guy who was working with her father, who was a doctor, and he was helping everyone who was involved in the freedom, who was a freedom fighter involved in the independence of India. And she had to move to the across the border with her husband, the Muslim guy, because there was no other way, because they both would have been killed, and her family would also have been killed if she did not move. Then there is Priya, who has to make a choice. She is the youngest daughter. She has to make a choice between career and her love, and it is a very difficult choice, and she goes through a lot of things that changed her completely. Then there is the second daughter, who has one leg shorter than the other, and she is seen as someone who is not enough, and she has to accept this fact and become this dutiful daughter. She is jealous of her sisters, but throughout this story you will start sympathizing with these characters. Like, initially I was not very fond of Jamini's character, but I could understand that why she is the way she is, and by the end of the story I just did not know that whom I should feel more bad for. So That's Independence by Chitra Banerjee Devakaruni, and it's a really good read. I highly recommend reading this one. The writing is also simple and easy to understand. So yeah, I recommend this one to also those people who are in a reading slump, because this can help you uh, come out of that reading slump. So yeah, those were the books that I read in the last 6 months, and yeah, that was the video. If you have read any of these books, do let me know what you think about the books, if you like them or not, and also let me know what you have read in the last 6 months. I would love to know that. And yes, that was the video, so I will see you in the next one. Till then, take care and bye bye.